Alrighty, good day and welcome. My name is Mr. JB and today we're going through a PhotoPea tutorial. Today we're going to be going through using the new AI feature that's within PhotoPea, the Generative Fill. If you've seen that for use on Photoshop, PhotoPea's pretty much got its own version of that. Now it's not as powerful as the Photoshop version because it's free and it's web-based, but it still works exceptionally well for what it does, and it can create some cool things. So we're starting off with this piece of pie today, and we're going to end up with something different by the time we end up finishing stuff off. And it's actually going to look pretty good if everything goes according to plan. Now to start, I've dropped in my image of my pie. I'm going to duplicate my layer because we want to be able to kind of see what it is that we're going to be doing with that later. Now we're going to go over to our spot healing brush. That's the one that kind of looks like a band-aid. We're going to go to the magic replace. That's what we're going to select. Now we can use the rectangle select and do the same feature. So I'm going to show you that first. I'm going to end up selecting my area that is my pie. Bam. Now when you are selecting that, it is important that you aren't over 1,000 pixels in either direction. Now you can see I'm 885 by 784. That's what it says down here in the bottom right. That's important. If you're more than 1,000 pixels, it will not work. Now from there, you'll see that I don't have anything to kind of do. I'm going to go back and I'm going to select that lasso, and now I'm going to be able to adjust stuff within this selection. If I just did replace, it would usually just remove it, but instead, let's say I want to change this to a slice of apple pie. Now instead of me having this pumpkin pie with Cool Whip, bam. Now this is a free feature and it does require you to watch ads, so anytime we have to watch an ad, I'm just going to skip over that. I'm going to click OK, watch the ad. Let's see you in a second. Now it's going to be processing. It'll take a few seconds after you watch those ads. Those ads can be anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds, so it can be a little bit time consuming. So just be mindful of that. And then bam, it has dropped us in a piece of apple pie. Now if we just take a second to look at what this thing has done, I'm going to deselect that space. Okay, we've got our pie. It's dripping onto the plate. We've got some crumbs over there. The lighting's pretty good. Now it obviously looks weird. Some of the lighting itself might be a little bit too bright, but this is quite good for it just dropping it in. I mean, now that I'm looking at this, I can see that it has somehow double whooped our fork. It is what it is. So if you wanted to end up kind of adjusting that, you just end up going in and you just hit the replace button again, and it will end up adjusting that and retrying for that space. You can do this as many times as you want. You just have to watch the ads. So I'm going to do it one more time, and hopefully we can get a fork that doesn't look so weird. Cool. It kind of extended our fork and it did some weird things with that fork, but that's okay. We can go in and we can kind of adjust that and play with that later, but that's not really the intention of what our video is. Now from here, I'm going to end up selecting my lasso piece, and I'm just going to kind of make a little blobby space because I want to throw some ice cream on this cake. So I'm just going to write ice cream on slice of pie. Now you kind of want to be a little bit specific. If you just wrote ice cream, for example, it would end up kind of just dropping in some random ice cream, and it might not make the shadows look as good, and it might not make it look as good on the object. So you do want to be a little bit specific when you're inputting this information. I'm going to click replace, and I will see you in a second. So with my attempt at dropping in ice cream, this time it didn't really work all that well. It kind of just ended up making the top look a little bit funny. And sometimes the generative fill isn't perfect in what it can create. So we've just found a flaw within this. Now I'm going to create another duplicate layer because we're going to change this one more time just to change it into something else. I'm going to deselect, and then I'm just going to select the entire space of the pie. Try and get as little fork in there as I can. Oh, looks like our fork is actually looking pretty good now after we ended up doing that ice cream bit. So it magically fixed our fork putting in ice cream. So from here, I'm going to change this, and let's just change this to a slice of chocolate cake. Excellent. So as you can see, we have not messed up our fork this time. It has now completed more of the fork than what we initially had in the first place. So it has generatively filled a bunch of that fork. Now if we go back, we can kind of see that we didn't have all of those pieces of the fork in our initial image. And now we've dropped in this cake. Now you can kind of see a little bit of differences in some of the haziness around in some of the sections for the blur. It looks a little bit lighter here. But in terms of the generative fill and the way it's dropped this onto the plate and the way it's got its small little shadows, this is incredible for what it can do. Now I know I've just done this with some cake, but you can do this with a ton of different options and a ton of different things. But that's all that we are going to mess with together for today. Mess around with it, play with it, do something that you want to do, throw in some random stuff and whatever. It can do a pretty good job. Sometimes it looks a little goofy, but it can do a pretty amazing job. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you learned something. Have a wonderful day, take care, and be safe.